The fall of the man begins with a single, silent choice he never even saw himself making. History grants no pardon to the man who picks poorly. No second chances, no forgiveness, just a gradual erosion that goes unnoticed until it's too late. Most men grasp their error only as they witness the burial of their own promise. Not from a lack of strength, but because they permitted the wrong woman past their walls. Never seeing she carried the flame. No one prepares you. Your family doesn't. Your brothers are unaware. And the world benefits from your lack of vision. But one ancient thinker understood. He knew the ruin of powerful men was seldom chance. It was almost always a decision, a naive one, a captivating one, a tempting one. While today's world feeds men fantasies of romance, devotion, and blind partnership, this philosopher offered something far more practical. The truth. Men rely on sight over substance. He wrote, "All witness what you seem to be. Few encounter who you actually are. The majority are governed by appearance. But the discerning man, he sees past the facade. He looks beyond the presentation, the form, the charisma. He observes her habits, her principles, her self-mastery. Not during her performance, but when she believes herself unseen." Let me share the first uncompromising rule. Women exist in only two categories. Constructive or corrosive. That's the entirety. Not possibly, not she's trying, not it's difficult. She either amplifies your existence or she depletes it steadily, quietly, totally. And here's the unsettling reality. Many women today have perfected seeming constructive while living as a drain. They offer affection while they dilute your concentration. They applaud your goals while steering you astray. And you, if you are not in command, will name this devotion. This talk isn't about bitterness. It's about tactics. For if you don't become clear-eyed in your choice, you will wither away while naming it dedication. The philosopher cautioned, he who wishes to mislead will always discover someone willing to be misled. And the man who selects based on form alone, he has already inked the terms of his defeat. He simply hasn't faced the results yet. The gravest risk isn't the woman. It's your inability to perceive. You see, beauty obscures the vision of the untrained man. In an era coaching men to adore the surface and ignore the core, it's no wonder most stumble before what looks good while missing what is genuinely good. But this thinker wasn't writing for dreamers. He was writing for leaders. And a leader never allows the doors of his domain to be opened by emotion disguised as advantage. A corrosive woman doesn't require shouting. She merely needs to divert you from your aim, your journey, your principles. She diminishes your drive by demanding you justify it. She weakens your resolve by naming it inflexible. And before you know it, you've exchanged your command for her convenience. The wise man recognizes a mirage for what it is, a sentimental tool concealed behind charm and praise. When he evaluates a woman, he doesn't inquire, is she attractive? He asks, can she support my purpose without seeking command it? That is the trial. And most men never pose a question until all they've constructed has vanished. Here is your next rule. Never select a woman who scorns masculine guidance. It is irrelevant how gentle her voice is when she desires something. It is irrelevant how striking she appears. If she vies with your command instead of uniting with it, depart. If she disputes your path without insight, walk away. If she views your power as a hazard rather than a refuge, she is not your partner. She is turbulence masked as calm. The philosopher comprehended authority. He knew that those who fail to hold it become servants to what they hope to direct. You believe you can manage her turmoil. You believe you can barter for esteem. You believe affection will mend it. It will not, because once you pick her, she wields the influence you surrendered. You gifted it, wrapped in soft terms like adjustment, empathy, alliance. But this thinker knew what most contemporary men have neglected. It is much more secure to be respected than adored if you cannot have both. Before you mistake this, it's not about being harsh. It's about being honored. A man who cannot earn a woman's esteem will never hold her faithfulness. A woman will probe your limits to locate your backbone. And when she finds it absent, she will scorn you for it. She may not go. She'll remain just long enough to dismantle you. And when finished, she'll murmur, you became different. No, you faltered and she observed it occur. You were taught to think that manhood must always be gentle, that direction must always be shared, that true power is about concession, particularly with women. But the thinker warned what occurs when authority is weakened. It disappears. The instant you let your leadership be debated, you've already relinquished it. She will not honor a man who expresses regret for guiding. She may grin. She may agree, but inwardly she'll know you stand for nothing. And once a woman senses you will yield for her ease, she will lose all wish to stand with you. Because fundamentally, even the most contemporary woman desires to follow a man she cannot sway. This doesn't mean being uncaring. It means being definite. Definite in your requirements. Definite in your aim. Definite in your borders. For she can shake you with emotion, lure you into passivity, or debate her way past your rules. You are not her leader. You are her task, her instrument, her interim solution until a man with resolve enters. You don't gain loyalty from affection. You gain it from being a man who cannot be maneuvered. Your third principle is this. Observe how she manages monotony. Any woman can be kind when she's amused, when she receives presents, when your focus is undivided. But watch what occurs when excitement dims. Does she foster tranquility? Or does she spark turmoil just to feel significant? This is when her authentic self emerges. A woman who requires conflict to feel alive will sabotage your tomorrow the instant actual life demands endurance, clarity, or restraint. You need a woman who can exist in calm, not one who ignites your world merely because she's unstimulated. Then there's the falsehood you're told. Her history is unimportant. You're fragile if you mind. The philosopher would scoff because he understood. The vow made was in need of yesterday. The promise broken is in need of today. Her past is your future. The woman who was disloyal to others before you, she isn't resetting with you. She's refining her technique. If her story is disorder, her future alongside you will be no different. Don't disregard the alerts just because she grins while being untrue. Next rule. Never connect your life's work with someone who ridicules your calling. You are a man with a goal, or you must be. And a man with a goal does not wed desire. He aligns with objective. If she dismisses your self-control, if she scoffs at your aspiration, if she adores approval but mocks your life's work, she's not your supporter, she's your saboteur. A woman who cannot endure quiet will hunger for disturbance. And if none exists, she will generate it. When attention fades, when gifts cease, when life becomes routine, she grows uneasy. Unease in a woman is not trivial. It is frequently the source of betrayal, strife, and undermining, clothed as emotional freedom. The philosopher would name this what it is, an ungoverned spirit perilous to any man on a path. If you overlook this quality, she won't ruin you with noise. She'll do it subtly with quiet uncertainty, with emotional distance when you concentrate on your work, with bitterness when you refuse to engage her drama. And then there is her past. You've been informed her past doesn't count. But that's a deception meant to keep you sightless. A woman who hops from man to man doesn't prize substance. She prizes newness. A woman who's betrayed others doesn't require rescue. She requires responsibility. You are not her healer. You're not her redemption. You're the next entry in her cycle, unless you establish the boundary. Examine her cycles, not her pledges. Because the woman who scorns your calling will one day scorn your defeat and name it progress. Here is a truth no man wishes to hear, but every genuine man must heed. If she doesn't dread losing you, she'll never treasure you. A woman who believes you'll always stay, regardless of her words, regardless of how little value she offers, will come to disrespect you. Why? Because what is free is valued at nothing, and the philosopher knew men should be either embraced or eliminated. No middle exists. Women will treat you the same. If she cannot lose you, she will direct you. If she fears losing you, she will elevate to meet your measure. This isn't about manipulating. It's about maintaining position. The man who is prepared to leave always holds the power. And no woman respects a man who trades that power for ease. Sees compensating disrespect with more notice. Sees pleading for faithfulness with gestures of panic. Sees bending your will to evade solitude. The philosopher didn't write for soft men. He wrote for commanders. And a commander doesn't clarify his value. He defends it. He assesses her. He selects her based on measures, not sentiments. And that brings us to the next command. Choose a woman whose company reinforces your resolve, not relaxes it. The incorrect woman will entice you to miss your training, mock your limits, and brand your drive as excessive. She'll do it cheerfully. She'll call it care. But it's betrayal. Because a true woman, a constructive woman, doesn't plead for you to stay relaxed. She challenges you to stay honed. A woman who doesn't fear your absence will never truly value your presence. She might say she cherishes you. She might even feel it. But without that fundamental awareness, that knowledge that you could depart anytime, she will start to slide into indifference or, worse, quiet disdain. That's why women instinctively test borders. It's not about malice. It's about verification. They need to know, is this man authentic? Is he firm? Or is he just acting strong to retain me? If you hesitate, she knows. If you yield, she possesses you. A man who cannot welcome a woman cannot guide her. And a philosopher grasped this ages ago, long before modern thought labeled it. Respect is founded on apprehension, not fear of harm, but fear of outcome, fear of your departure. And that apprehension keeps her rooted in fact, not fiction. So while others tell you to be vulnerable, the thinker would tell you to hone your resolve. Because if a woman can remain in your life while disrespecting your ideals, you're not her leader. You're her pawn. And history is filled with pawns who loved too gently and lost all. Now, let me address the man already caught. The man who hears this and thinks, it's finished. I've already chosen incorrectly. It is not finished, but it will demand a price. It will cost you your ease, your dignity, perhaps your resources, perhaps years you can't recover. But ask yourself this, what carries a greater cost? Leaving now or decaying slowly over coming decades? For be certain, the wrong woman will consume you. And when you're hollow, she will leave regardless. Not because she's wicked, but because nature has no mercy for a man who declines to lead himself. The philosopher knew people value what they fear losing. And if she doesn't fear losing you, it's because you instructed her not to. That stops now. You're not here to be an emotional cushion, a supporting actor in her tale, a repairer of broken objects. You are here to create. And what you create will either be reinforced by her being or demolished by her essence. Most modern men don't fail from weakness. They fail because they were taught to believe their softness is love. They name surrender kindness. They name quiet accord. They name self-betrayal dedication. But the thinker removed the deception. A leader who is not himself discerning cannot be well counseled. Meaning what? If you're frail, you will only draw women who feed on it. You will mistake their chaos for connection, and you'll keep naming yourself unfortunate when in truth, you're just untrained. The most perilous lie a man can tell is, she'll improve. No, she won't. She'll adjust just enough to keep you attached. Then she'll return to the disorder that secretly stimulates her, because you were never a man she followed, just one she handled. The truth is, you're not trapped. You're dependent. Dependent on the hope that this instance will be distinct, that this next dispute will bring resolution, that your endurance, your hurt, your offerings will be returned with fidelity. They will not, because when you pick the wrong woman, you've already agreed to a pact where you lose by structure. Each time you concede to avoid strife, you lose command. Each time you silence your truth for calm, you lose esteem. And once she senses you've shaped your life around her endorsement, she will use it to reform you into something lesser. He didn't write for men who need sympathy. He wrote for men who need to retake the seat of their own mind. And the first move, confess you've yielded, then ascend. Not for vengeance, but for renewal. Because the man you were is why she stayed. The man you must become is why she won't last in your tomorrow. Here is what no inspiring speaker will ever tell you. No woman on earth is your reason for being. Not one. Your purpose is your task, your discipline, your legacy. A woman can enhance it or contaminate it, but she can never substitute it. Yet most men today, they reverse the formula. They make her the task. They revolve around her feelings. They rise each day pursuing her validation, and they question why she loses respect. Because women do not trust men who orbit them. They trust men who orbit nothing but their mission. That's why the identical woman who disrespects one man will revere another. Not because she altered, but because the context altered. Here is a severe lesson. Never choose a woman who cannot prosper in your absence. You wish to know who she truly is? Withdraw. Be scarce. Observe. Does she build, or does she crumble the moment your notice fades? If she cannot hold position when you're not observing, she will betray at the instant life challenges you. The thinker taught leaders to strengthen their holds, to command their perimeters. You are no different. Your energy is your stronghold. Your standards are your gates. Let the wrong woman inside, and it won't be an attack. It'll be a silent crumbling from within. And here's the part that aches. Most men who fell knew she was the incorrect woman. They simply lacked the courage to walk away. A man without a calling becomes a servant to his passions and a slave to hers. And the moment you put a woman at the core of your life, she instinctively starts to test if you were ever built to lead. She doesn't wish to be your heir. She wants to feel your heat. That's why your absence is the ultimate test, not to toy, but to reveal her nature. Does she stay firm? Does she protect what you built? Or does she seek affirmation elsewhere the second you're no longer feeding her self-image? Most men never examine this because they dread what they might discover. And that dread keeps them faithful to a fantasy instead of faithful to themselves. Your standards are not requests. They are protections against manipulation, against aversion, against decay. The thinker warned leaders never to let foes through the gates. But modern men, they hand the keys to women they hardly know, then weep at treachery when their peace is ash. You are not just shielding your heart, you're shielding your life's work. And the woman you pick is either aiding you to strengthen it, or she's laying stones to your collapse while smiling in your embrace. Let me tell you why most men ignore every warning sign. Because deep down they believe they're the special case. You think your love is unique. You think your patience will transform her. You think if you wait sufficiently she'll finally recognize your value. She will not. You're not her parent. You're not her counselor. You're not her deity. You're a man. And a man's time is his life. Every moment you spend trying to reshape a woman who refuses to evolve is a moment you rob from your future self. The philosopher didn't soften his words. The wise man does immediately what the fool does eventually. If you remain with the wrong woman because you're afraid to begin again, you're not devoted. You're just postponing your ruin. And here's the part most men won't confess. You chose her. Whether through desire, isolation, or poor requirements, you let her in. You overlooked the signals. You quieted your instinct, and now you're paying the toll. But the suffering only continues if you keep deceiving yourself. Because the truth is this. No woman has ever destroyed a man's life. He did that by selecting her. And unless you accept that, you'll keep repeating the pattern. Blaming women, blaming the world, blaming misfortune when the real adversary is your refusal to elevate your requirements. Your downfall didn't start when she failed you. It started the instant you refused to see her plainly. You justified the warnings. You idealized the dysfunction. You told yourself, she's just special, while your spirit was already shouting, escape! But you stayed, not from power, but from terror. Terror of restarting. Terror of being solitary. Terror of admitting that you invested your hours, your effort, your core into someone who was never deserving of it. And the thinker would tell you the truth you avoid. He who permits himself to be misled is already partly vanquished. You didn't just pick her, you shielded her reputation. Even as she drained you, you defended her to your allies. You crafted excuses for her disregard. And now the cost is your calling. But here is the awakening. You don't require more indicators. You require more self-regard. Because every second you spend rationalizing her place is a second stolen from the man you could be. She didn't ruin you. She exposed you. The part of you still dependent on chaos, approval, and possibility. That version of you must end, because no queen will follow a man who bows to his own delusions. Here is a law that will either liberate you or keep you a servant to chaos. You do not ascend by being fortunate with women. You ascend by being uncompromising with your standards. The world won't cheer you for this. They'll ridicule you, name you domineering, say you're severe, icy, poisonous. But let them speak. Because the man who stands alone with serenity is wealthier than the one encircled by turmoil disguised as love. If something within you moved today, if you felt truth sear through your illusions, don't scroll away. Because the philosopher didn't write for boys desiring comfort. He wrote for men prepared to conquer. And to conquer, you must comprehend every woman you allow into your life is either honing your blade or blunting it. There is no neutral woman. There is no harmless election. She will either power your mission or become the quiet adversary within your walls. So decide like a sovereign, not a supplicant. Assess her, challenge her. Step back and witness what shows itself in her absence. Because any woman can behave correctly when you're watching. The real query is, who does she become when you're not? If she lives by your values when no prize is offered, You may possess something uncommon, but if she wanders the moment you cease pursuing, she was never yours to start. So choose with wisdom, lead without apology, and never forget, a man afraid to lose a woman is already owned. A man afraid to lose his purpose owns his world. If you found value in this, please like and subscribe to Winds of Thought. Your support fuels our mission